Welcome back to Freedom Friday with New Level Realty. So I get asked this question a lot: Why the real estate market, right? Why not the stock market, the bond market, the commodity market, the debt, credit markets? And those are great markets. Don't get me wrong. But I always give people the acronym, right? My acronym, the GREAT acronym, and why real estate is such a great investment. And again, acronym. The G stands for good debt or good leverage, right? And we know that good, good versus bad, like the definition. I'm gonna run it to you really quickly here. So good debt is any debt that if I go to the bank and borrow money, it's debt that I personally don't have to pay back. So for real estate, I have my tenants that pay rent, and with that rent, I turn and pay the bank. So it's not money that's coming directly out of my pocket per se. Bad debt, if I go to that same bank and say I take out a mortgage for my personal house, and then I have to work, or whatever income that I get, I pay that notes. That would be considered bad debt, student loan debt, credit card debt, same thing. R stands for repeatable process, right? Real estate is very easy to understand, and once you develop your process, it typically doesn't change that often. Now, your investment strategy may change. You might be a buy and flip person today, and then you go to buy and hold, or you might do single family versus multifamily or commercial or whatever, but that process, once it's developed, doesn't change. The E stands for earnings, which really stands for cash flow, right? You're getting that monthly cash flow from your rental income. A stands for appreciation or inflation, right? That asset class is expected to inflate over the years. And then lastly, the T stands for tax strategy or tax haven. Real estate is a very good investment class in terms of the benefits of taxes. So that's that great acronym, and that's what I usually lead people with. But I want to give you some statistics today that these statistics are from CNBC, and they really good statistics. I'm gonna read them off quickly here to you. So number one, what I have between 2010 and 2019, renters paid $4.5 trillion worth of rent. That number is mind-boggling to me. I mean, I know there's a lot of renters out there, and but anytime you have $1 trillion behind the number, it's just mind-boggling. In 2019, just 2019 alone, $512 billion were paid in rent. So with that total addressable market, or TAM for short, if you get 0.00001% of that market, you're doing well, right? So you want to be invested in a market that offers that type of number where you can be a small player and still do relatively well, okay? 2012 through 2017, rents that were $1,000 or more increased by 5 million units, right? Doesn't sound like a lot, but that lets you know that the rent, because $1,000 is kind of like your barometer as far as if your particular rental unit is considered luxury or affordable. Of course, that $1,000 will go up or down depending on where we're at in the economy. But you got to assume that over time it's going to continue to go up because of inflation. But so that's just letting you. And me personally speaking, I typically like to stay within that affordable housing range, because when you start going the luxury route, let's say $1,000 is the average for your locality. And of course, this is going to change, right? You go either coast, West Coast, East Coast, these numbers are going to inflate. But as you go more inland in America, then those numbers will decrease as far as what you can charge for rent. But let's just say $1,000 is the market average, and if you're charging $1,500 for your rentals, maybe because you have some more amenities, maybe you have pools and jacuzzis, or you have laundry facilities, or you're picking up the trash from their doorstep instead of the tenants going to the dumpster. All those are fine when the economy is humming, but the minute the recession starts to loom, rents and where people live are one of the first things people cut back, right? Like when they start to see, okay, the job is saying, hey, no more bonuses, or hey, we're going to make some layoffs. Okay, guess what? Rents and where they live are one of the first things that they either do not pay their rent, or they're going to break their lease and move out and go to somewhere that's a little bit more affordable. Okay, so you want to stay in that affordability range for your particular area. This next statistic is fascinating as well. So low end rent, so $1,000 and below, from 2018 to 2019, so year over year, increased by 3.6%. That the high end side, so $1,000 and above, increased by 2.9%. So let's break down this 3.6% real quick here. So the Federal Reserve measures inflation using the Consumer Price Index or CPI. Now, I personally believe that that number is distorted, whatever number that the Fed reports out as far as the inflation number. In fact, I did a video not too long ago that showed that the items that consumers need to have or have to have, like food, gas, medical, hospital bills, education, that inflation is rampant. It's well above 100%. But things we don't need, the things we want, electronics and cars maybe, those things will show a decrease in inflation. So with the CPI, we're just going to stick with the CPI number that the Fed puts out, and we're going to say that's true. We're going to say that's accurate. So the Fed, as of right now, has inflation below 2%. So their historical average is between 2 and 2.5, but right now it's below 2%. So you're in a real estate environment where rents are growing by 3.6% a year, which is well above inflation. So you're doing great. Now, a stock market person will challenge you and say, well, on average, stocks return about 7% a year once you factor in a dividend. So you got your stock appreciation plus your dividend. And that may be true, but we're just simply talking rent increases. We're not talking the tax benefits that you get from holding your real estate. We're not talking about the inflation that you're going to get from your property appreciating year over year. And we're also not talking about paying the debt down, which is called amortization, right? Each time your tenants pay you rent and then you go to pay the bank, that's decreasing your loan balance, right? Your principal, which is going to increase your equity. So we're not even factoring. We're simply talking cash on cash, a 3.6 increase on average throughout the states. And of course, like I said, you go New York or DC, you go San Francisco. Right now, Denver's a hot market. Some parts of Texas, Texas is pretty hot. You start going to those major cities, then that number can get bigger unless you're in a city where they have rent control, and then that's a whole nother can of worms. And lastly, this is another cool statistic here. Inventory, right? So we all heard of the inventory shortage in real estate. So I'm going to give you this statistic here. Between 2012 and 2019, 6 million single family homes were built. Okay, 6 million. In that same time frame, 2012 to 2019, 10 million new households were formed. So let's break that down. So let's say you're a parent, right, and you have a son or a daughter, either one, and they're adults, and they finally move out of your house. And in fact, not only do they move out of your house, but they get married and they start their own family. They would be considered a new household or a new formation. So we're saying that 6 million homes were built, and now you have 10 million new households who are going to eventually need homes. So you're talking about a 4 million decrease or a delta between the two. So where are these other 4 million people? Where are they going to go? They're going to become renters, which again is going to help push those rents up. So those are great statistics. Again, that total addressable market, that 4.5 trillion within a decade, is just mind-boggling. And if you can just get a small slice of that, you can be, you'll do relatively well. So that's the reason why we love real estate here at New Level Realty. Call us today, 202-524-0249. If you have any questions, we'd love to have you as clients. Thanks.